Oi, oi, oi. What the Sigma? Oh, shit. Shit. What's cooking? Spend an hour talking about Caulfield track bias. Said no one ever. Oh. What's happening? What do we have for 3.4? What did Caulfield come out at? 3.6, 3.2. 3.2 is what, around the bend? Shoot. Here comes Blake Shin. Going around, but you reckon you could talk on the Caulfield track? I've seen a lot of shit about it. I was only joking. Surely everyone's out-talked that. Oh, g'day. The only exciting show to watch. Jesus Christ, exciting. I don't know about exciting, but we'll try. I'll start Rosehill. I think Rosehill was pretty fair. They did get a little bit off the fence in the straight. Don't know if they really needed to. A few horses got up the inside. Maybe 3 or 4 off the inside was okay, but relatively fair, I think. A lot of slowish tempos. When there was a bit of speed in the race, you could run on, but typical Rosehill. Nothing too exciting from a track perspective, I don't think. Pretty g'day, March Hare. Yeah, I'll just go through it. There wasn't too much there. Few decent races, I guess. 3-year-olds that look at thin. Interesting, I say they've not locked in Storm Boy, so Switzerland won't back up. I would have thought it would for sure. Maybe they'll save it for the Coolmore now, but yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, well, Southport Tycoon has got that same form as the Everest horse, isn't it? Growing, whatever. So, yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, Everest-wise, I think you've got to play against it. I don't think that race was super strong than Manikato. Yeah, Abdullah was riding Storm Boy no matter where it went. So even if it was going to the Coolmore, Abdullah was booked to ride it. So he was always going to be on it no matter where it went. Yeah, Ferrari overcame a slow tempo too, so I agree. I agree that, maybe 3 or 4 off at the start of the day was the place to be. It might have dried out a bit towards the inside and leveled up, but I don't think it was significant either way. Chef's kiss. Everyone's got a beat. It's a 20-1 chance, so you'd expect it to get beat.
Light is on. We're ready to go on the Hill Stakes.
Race 1, the mighty Alabama State got Multi-Madness off to a flying start. Unfortunately, Coleman brought it to a crushing finale, but that's life. He's an interesting horse, this horse. I think he's got a bit of upside. I know they sort of aimed him at, the Tapp-Craig and came up a bit strong, they thought. It was probably smart to go here, but he's definitely got a bit of substance to him. He hasn't had a lot of luck, and I don't think Karen really suits the horse. So, a rider change, and if he landed in something a little bit more difficult, I think he's definitely capable of getting out of midway grade. This race is actually not too bad. A pretty even, solid tempo. Pretty much every runner had their chance.
Day here at Rosehill, overcast and quite windy. Racing now to take it was last.
Southport went to the Everest.
Jumped well together with Trev.
Where's Southport? Where's Southport Tycoon going?
Princes wedged between the two.
I think he'd be going to a 1400 a mile somewhere or getting ready. Yeah, so not a lot happens first half. Monty Kate sits wide. I think Peace Officer gets caught wide as well. No real surprises there. What pulls up with the problem? Hellbent on You pulls up with a respiratory noise. The Token missed the start. Another horse that needs a rider change and is ready to win. Little bitching session on riders here. So again, a little bit like last week. Just the difference to me between quality riders and not. Well, quality and high quality. So you've got Apollo Mission here in this yellow and blue stripy colours, whatever it is. So you just, for no reason, Reggie's hunting this horse up into this spot. Sorry, it's Tyler. I'm going to go up to Reggie. Tyler hunting the horse up into this spot for no reason. I'll go back a bit. So, like, it's going to land outside of the Oakfield horse no matter what, with no pressure. And then here you'll see he just gets aggressive on the horse for no reason. And instead of sort of letting the horse relax throughout, you can see how keen the horse is now. And he's in restricted room, which I don't love anyway. Like, he's put all the pressure on the horse to get into a spot that it didn't need to be. And then he pokes up again here in a minute, I think. He pokes up again there. So he's sort of niggling this horse the whole way. And again, you see the horse just gets keen. Probably hard to see, but yeah, it's just that sort of ride that I hate, and it's a sort of ride that a horse can improve off significantly. He's just used energy the whole way through the race to be in the same spot that he could have been. He probably could have been a half length further back, got to the outside or potentially or whatever, and actually saved energy. Now you see he's off the bit. He's been off and on the bit the whole way through the race. This is Apollo Mission. Just watching a run in isolation. Here's the winner, Alabama State. The Toka rails through from the back. Triez has had its chance out in front, set a solid tempo. This horse was good first up and trialled really well prior to first up, and actually would have been a really good result here at 50 or 60s or whatever it was. Piraeus trying to find the right race for this horse is the tricky part. He's just sort of a bit of a back marker that needs things to go his way, but he goes well. Toka, the Perry horse, goes well enough. Llewellyn and Danish Prince sort of had their chance up on speed. They're going well enough to be competitive in these sorts of races. Cheerful Legend back here needs to drop back in distance for mine. They're probably the main horse to look at here. Obviously, Hellbent on You pulled up with an issue in the peace officer, and Monty Kate sort of raced wide throughout without cover. So he does a good job, I think, Alabama State, to be held up, push out, and then pick up revs. You sort of said Apollo Mission's overspent in the run, so I think his effort's pretty good. The Toka was held up and forced back to the inside, and she's going well, and Price closed off. So typical midway, as in not much between a lot of them, and this form will, I don't think too much of it will travel much beyond this, but will be competitive in similar grade, and maybe Alabama State's just got that little bit of quality. 1400, if he runs a mile, he could be dangerous because he could settle up on speed and keep running. I like horses like him that can build through their revs rather than sort of dash and don't have a lot of substance to them. So I think the race is okay, especially for this grade, and maybe it'll travel a little bit further. Sort of 1, 2, 3, 4 definitely can win a similar race straight away. Triez, Llewellyn, Danish Prince, all that need to find probably that length and a half like they have here. And this bloke's flying for mine, but just needs to go back in distance. Yeah, Golden Eagle would be where I would have thought. Sydney Stakes shaping up to be better than race for mine. I haven't looked at the field for it. Hugh rode a couple of perfect rides on the weekend. Need to watch him. Yeah, Hugh's great. So he's a perfect example of a rider who would never do that in the run. There's another one later I noted down that does something similar. And I just, like, he's only got beat a length and a half. It kind of looked like he had every chance in the run, but if you watch him very closely, he's being used and used and used sort of all throughout the race, never been left alone, off a break. He's flying for me, this horse. He's definitely a horse to follow. For AS. Oh, Alabama State. Yeah, perfect race. 1,572. Perfect. Perfect. G'day, close trigger. Yeah, so I think this form will hold up definitely for midway form, and I think this guy can probably graduate to a little bit higher. Race 2, I'll just... Whatever, we'll watch it.
We're ready to go now. The light is on. Stand by for a break.
Fast tempo, I think. yeah, like above average tempo. They quicken up from the 800. So the win's pretty good. I think they bet 50s this winner. So started around $10, $11. Someone's got a result out of it. Good luck to them. Tricky horse to catch, but did all the work here and sort of kept running.
And they're racing. One beat, no beat,
Yeah, it is what it is. Pretty average race. It's okay for a highway grade. Time and everything that runs okay off fast tempo. Definitely just a race, but yeah, pretty putrid. It looked pretty bad on paper prior, and it sort of measured up. Invincible Red sits wide, no cover. Occhiata wide, but gets cover. Who else was wide? There was another something was wide. Hulu sort of wide with cover.
One beat, no beat. It drew the outside, got across to second. Rashnish goes to third from Dunham.
Green, this is Mazita or something back here on the inside. It's the one that runs second. I thought it was a bit flattered. Does get a little bit keen in the run, but I think this fast tempo suited those horses back towards the inside here that had cheap runs, straight fire runs. Third from back, second last. Pretty steady race. No real interest in following anything out of this. Maybe Mazita will come up a little bit shorter next start than it possibly should. That's about it. Thought Hulu was pretty steady, even though it's that wide, no cover, but with cover. One beat, no beat outside leader was only second up here, so he can improve. Probably stuck on okay. They went a bit quicker than I thought and used it up, but it was still only playing. Like, it's beaten off at the 300 and weakens pretty badly, so I just couldn't really find anything out of this race I want to go searching for in similar grade. I don't think. They're all pretty hard fit average horses. Egyptologist was flattered last start heading into this. It looked like the shape might have suited it, but yeah, I don't know. Craig Williams, the worst jockey in Australia. Well, he's far from the worst. He's far from the worst. Is he difficult to catch at times? Absolutely. But he's far from the worst. Race 3. One of the worst National Wheeler rides you'll see here. Just went way too slow on a bear in there. What's it called? Bear on the loose. 6-7 lengths slow to the 800, slowed to nearly 11 lengths slow to the 600. So even though he's got a really cheap first 1200, he's then even slowed it further and made it a dash home, which I don't think played into his hands, but he was still playing. I don't think he's cost the horse the race or anything like that, but he's only been beaten a length and he probably should have gone for home 400 metres before what he did. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty steady race overall. Madatsu was really well set up to peak, coming out of stronger form, dropped back in distance last start and ran well, and then back to a race where he was graded much more fairly. Had a nice run in transit and got the job done. There wasn't much to be learnt here. I thought Shahaya or something obviously had an issue. It spreaded for about 100 metres, then basically pulled out of the race. Mare of Mount Buller bled from one nostril. Faye's Angels, just a battler that keeps doing its best and running, solidly. It's just a money-making machine for owners, which is great, but I don't think the form's great. Acuris or whatever it is, 7-year-old gelding that went really average first up and only get beat 2 length here, and Cabot sat outside the leader, and I thought it was pretty poor too. Super Strike sort of follows him around. So I think this form's pretty bad. I don't really know what to do with it, to be honest. I don't think they'd want to be very, very well placed, but they are sort of take-turnsy sort of horses. But, yeah, I thought sort of Nash's ride was poor, but I think he's still in the wilderness a bit. Bear on the loose. Both his runs back have been really controlled tempos. He's had full control of the race and not been able to do anything with it, really. He's been beaten off pretty comfortably at the business end by Fielding or whatever that horse, Floating, and it came out and was a bit disappointing. I thought the start after that, and then here I definitely think it had its chance, even though I don't think he got the ride right tactic-wise. I think the horse is definitely a little bit more one-paced and should have sort of controlled the tempo from this point, so he's just going too slow here. He should have been upping the ante well before Reggie decided to take off. I saw a few people blowing up about Reggie taking off. His was probably the best ride in the race, arguably. Shadia or whatever it's called, Shahir. Yeah, it's just not his fault that the horse went like a busted. He was the first jockey to actually show some initiative and try and put some tempo and get there cheaply, which he did. And the horse just went like a busted crab. Certainly wasn't Reggie's fault, and it wasn't as if they were going quick and he made a mistake. He certainly tried to do the right thing, and the horse has just gone like a busted. Yeah, he sticks on all right, Bear on the Loose. Just as I said, they've just gone too slow. Sit sprinty sort of horses. This is what's it called? A Curious. Even Super Strike doesn't really look like it's doing a lot and sort of closing. Flying V there. I don't think we learn a lot here. I don't know what sort of race you want to find any of these going to with much conviction. I think they're all sort of similar horses, and maybe Bear on the Loose can come out and make a liar of his form because he's been ridden so sit sprinty his first two runs back, but I don't think he's any world beater. Maybe he needs a wet track. His first up win here was on a soft track on a fast run race, so maybe that's what he needs. Yeah, Faze Angel was arguably the best run in the race, arguably, but yeah, she doesn't win out of turn. No, but been very good. That she can obviously train this Karen Owen. She got another winner there somewhere during the week, and yeah, she can obviously train. Like Madeline Owen hasn't done a lot wrong on this horse, to be fair, but she doesn't ride in the city much, so the partnership's done a good job. I'd say the best setup horse and potentially the best horse won the race. Yeah, there's no fluke in it. Just everything went to plan. Gloaming Stakes, this is interesting because visually it looked like they were going quite quick here, and they really weren't. Control tempo to the 800, maintain that control a couple lengths below standard to the 6, come home about a length above. Time overall is pretty steady, but there's not too many races run like this. It was a decent performance. There's not too many horses in here you'd expect to sort of unleash a big sprint, and certainly Swift Falcon does a good job. Sort of 7th fastest last 800, 5th fastest last 600 of the day from an impossible position, which was always looked likely on the cards. And the problem, I thought, prior to the race being run, that it was not even the distance it was going to be between it and the leaders. It was the horses in the middle that weren't going to carry it anywhere into the race. You know, like nothing was really going to drag these horses up to the leaders, and that was the biggest problem that I thought Swift Falcon and Henline would face here, that they really had no horses from the back that really wanted to take off early or had the ability to circle and bring them into the race, so they were going to have to do it themselves, and it's kind of how it worked out. Henline was a little bit disappointing, I thought. Pretty bad ride, just given absolutely none, dragged out, just sat there and waited, and you know, maybe they were hesitant to use the horse up and give it too hard a run heading into the Spring Champion and sort of cop their medicine, but it was still probably last 100 was a bit average, I thought. Rag Queen was good, had every chance, sat in the back of the winner, but it was arguably the strongest late. Swift Falcon was the strongest late, but it and El Costello, there wasn't much between, I didn't think, across the line. Rag Queen, does that drag the race down, or is Rag Queen a talented horse? It's always shown a bit of X factor, and David Payne's a bloody nightmare to try and work him out. But you would have to say this form's going to be solid heading to the Spring Champion. And I can't really make a case for the winner not being better suited there than it was here, or at least as well suited. He's just got that racing pattern, and he's also looks like he's never going to be a horse that's flashy and sprint away from a field, but the further they go, it looks the better for this horse, and he sort of just builds through his gears, and they didn't really get close to him here. So even though the race was put on for him pretty much, it could happen again, and out to 2,000 metres I think will only help him. So let's watch the replay. Yeah, so here's the start. Swift Falcon back. This is Henline out here, just gets dragged out of the race. El Costello with the better draw and the natural speed lands in a good spot. Don't really know what Tyler was doing on Tenbury Wells. This is a little bit similar to the ride earlier. He's had a bit of a shocker here today. I'm picking on Tyler, but he's like landed in an absolute perfect position here. Even if he's trailing a Kami Star, they're running along pretty freely. There's no reason to get your horse out of its comfort zone, and he decides at one point that he's going to pop off and try and get up outside the leader when, 99 times out of 100, this horse is going to pop off and give you cover and a trail up into the race. So I'm not really sure why he was so desperate to pop off and, sort of backfired. I don't know if it had a huge effect on the end result for Tenbury Wells, but it was another weird ride that he just sort of could have let the horse relax that tear further back, and for whatever reason he was keen to get going a little bit early, and whereas you sort of Josh sitting back and just letting El Costello do his thing and relax. He didn't want to do the same thing on Tenbury Wells, but whatever. These guys, this is the separation I was concerned about. So the Swift Falcon back here, Henline, and what's this bloke called? Dewar Calzini. So it's coming out of highway form, and it's the horse looking to drag you up. You're always going to be in a bit of trouble, giving 5-6 lengths to the main rivals. And so at this point, Josh must have been laughing on El Costello with Tyler deciding he's going to go from a nice trailing spot to up outside the leader or 3 wide and just give him a cart, even if it worked out for him and he landed outside the leader, Josh is going to be on his back. So no matter what, Josh must have been pretty happy with the way things were unfolding here, I think. He travels like the winner. There's that gap, like 5-6 lengths gap that with no trail and having to make that sustained run. Tommy sitting back and deciding to trail the favourite and wait for him to go was basically giving up. But he doesn't, he's never going to sprint, but I just love the way he builds. Sort of changes leg and just continues to build through the line. I don't think he's going to quicken any faster, but he's definitely not stopping on the line. And you sort of compare him to Henline. This guy's run's obviously very good. But you've got to, there's a few things going forward, talk about it in a sec. Sort of Tenbury Wells was pretty soft late, and this guy definitely peaked, whether he needed the run and he's going to come on again from that Henline. It's sort of hard to be in his corner and unless he gets all favours next time. You'd have to say Rag Queen was a better run than Henline, and Swift Falcon was a better run than both of them, arguably. And then the winner may be forgotten again because he was given such a charm run in transit here, but I think he could be the forgotten horse again, El Costello. I love the way he does things, and I think he'll do them again. The other thing about Swift Falcon is he was on the sort of 7-day backup here, 4th up. Is he 4th up? 1, 2, 3rd up? 3rd up. 4th up? Big difference. I'm just going to check. So he's only 3rd up, but he was 7-day backup. Then he's got to go 2 weeks, 2,000. There's argument that could have sort of been a peak performance and hard to bounce off that. Whereas El Costello's going to be 4th up with a more spaced campaign, sort of natural progression. I'd expect him to sort of come on more naturally than Swift Falcon potentially could. I think you'd like a rider change if you're in the Swift Falcon camp as well. Yeah, I thought Henline had more upside, but I'm definitely team Swift Falcon after that performance. It's hard to see it turning the tables. Rag Queen's a little bit interesting. Was it second? It was only 3rd up there, was it? So it's gone 14, 16, coming out of weird races. Blinkers on 1st up, 1400. Blinkers off 2nd up, mile, and then the 1800 metres there. So that performance of her 1st and even 2nd starting a race were a little bit freakish. So she's obviously got good ability, and that was 1100. Then this prep sort of 14 with blinkers, very strange. Then 16, then 18. He's very hard to work out, David Payne, but she's got a bit of X factor. I don't think it was leaders. I don't think either of the tracks was significantly biased. Maybe the inside sections at Caulfield were a little bit, but they a bit like Rosehill. You want to save ground in the run there, and you want to save ground in the run here, ideally. But a lot of things are tempo based. Definitely less potential for bias at Rosehill than Caulfield Saturday, that's for sure. But yeah, they controlled the tempo. Of course, on paces are going to be in the finish if they control speeds. So yeah, I think that form will carry to the Spring Champion okay, and I've got not much between El Costello and Swift Falcon again. I don't know what the betting is. Spring Champion, so hard. They got so many goddamn champion. So 450 El Costello, 450 Henley, 280 Swift Falcon, $8 Harlem Queen. Geez, they really put their balls on the line, don't they? Oh my god, that's embarrassing. But yeah, I'd have them closer to equal favourites, to be honest. Sort of 5-2, take the pick. Henley, $6-7, something like that. Maybe even more. I don't think there's a question mark on. Well, I don't think you can have a question mark on him at 2,000 metres, considering how well he's run that 1,800 out from such a poor position, and he was definitely the strongest through the line there. So he's just a little bit different of a horse to El Costello, who looks like he's going to thrive on getting out to 2,000, and he's going to sort of be that horse that can maintain a similar gallop for further. But there's nothing to say he won't run the distance to my eye. With Falcon, mate, just the setup's a little bit tricky. I don't really love the 7-day backup and then the next run on the top of that is usually difficult to sort of go forward off. But if he draws a gate, he can definitely settle closer. If he gets a different rider, that'll help him too. Blinkers on Henley. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. It'd be interesting, but I know 1,000,000% that the Spring Champion is their main focus. So yeah, it'll be a kitchen sink job. They'll throw the kitchen sink at it next start, and we'll see what it's got. Roman Consul. Yeah, I was keen on Coleman here. His chances were in big trouble as soon as the start, and Karen, who just can't get horses out the gate, it just drives me crazy. Out the back. Ned Brockman. Yeah, they look like they went a lot faster than they did here. Pretty controlled tempo, even sort of tempo. The race is pretty good. It's better than I thought it was. I thought it looked pretty bad visually, but there's a bit of merit in the late sections. The winner's gone very well. Certainly improved significantly off of the first up run. I didn't think the trial was that great. It was a little bit iffy because it was in restricted room and back up the inside. Always hard to tell those trials, but yeah, he's done a good job. Coleman's run the fastest 8 to the 2 of the day, and then sort of got tired late after circling them. So his effort was probably better than what it looked as well. Just set a difficult task, and Switzerland was sort of able to settle that pair or two closer and cut up the inside. Not much probably between them. The rest, Gatsby's has run the fastest last 800 of the day. So it's an interesting race. Spirit of Wealth looked like it ran its race prior to the start, and then Tommy does a few weird things. This is another weird ride that I'll just mention. It's nothing untoward, I don't think, but just a weird ride. Prost sort of looked like it was going to do a little bit more than what it did. High Octane was gone and then sort of comes again late. It's just a weird race. I don't really know what this sort of form feeds. Obviously, the Coolmore is probably the main aim for a couple of these horses. Just didn't look great. It looked like they didn't do a lot, but the clock says different. So sometimes those sorts of races are a little bit tricky. I don't think Coleman will run a mile. I don't think Coleman will run a mile. So here's Coleman out the back. Good on you, Karen. Yeah, so he's sort of a length out and then on the back foot and in a lot of trouble. Gatsby's changed the tactics to be taken back. This is the weird one. Watch the, I think it's grey, isn't it? Spirit of Wealth. Tommy literally reverse parks this horse from a third. He's the worst reverse parker in history when he leads on horses. He goes way too slow in front and sort of backs up in people's faces. But he backs up from third defence here, and I don't really know why. And then he comes around him. So he sort of gets in front of Tim here, and then watch, he just gets straight on the horse's mouth and pulls it up here, and he's looking over his shoulder trying to pull it back. I don't really understand why he wouldn't have wanted to hold that spot behind the leader. So a fast horse that's set up, set fast tempos, and I don't understand why he'd want to do what he did here. And then he goes around the Waterhouse horse and sits outside the leader. So, yeah, I've got no clue what he was doing. All he sort of achieved was getting the horse racing keen, and while she might have already run the race prior to the race, he absolutely gave her no winning chance at any stage. So, yeah, I think she pulled a shoe too. So she's a bit of a forgive, probably next prep for her. But, yeah, that was it. Weird ride. Winner, perfect run, just relaxes throughout. No excuses. Prost, no excuses. What's this thing called? Yoshinobu, no excuses. The winner, really no excuses. Looks like it's going a lot faster than it is. Coleman has to come wide and sustain that run. Excuse there, and Gatsby's has basically been given a barrier trial. But ran well, and it looks like it's a horse that does look suited being ridden more conservatively at the start. They've already talked about back towards that inside was no real big disadvantage, so you would say that Switzerland's had the run of the race and then gets that unimpeded passage through up the inside. These guys have had to circle, probably the difference at the end of the day. I thought this was a weird run from High Octane. Kind of looks like it's battling here and then nearly changes leg and comes good late, but not really sure what to do with High Octane.
Oh, Switzerland pulling away. So much better behaved today. And Switzerland runs away with the Roman Consul.
So these horses will all go different places. He looks like he probably wants a mile. Prost. Still, I thought he should have run better than what he did there. Coleman's a bit tricky. I'd love it to get a different rider, Coleman. Someone like a Shin or a Tim or a Hieronymus. Anyone who can get a horse out of the gates. I think that's what he needs. I think he can sit just off a fast tempo and accelerate off it, whereas sitting way back and trying to sustain long runs is not his. I think he's got a higher cruising speed and can quicken off it, whereas having to circle fields I don't think is really his go. Switzerland's definitely back on track.
Switzerland bursting up the inside. Switzerland went up to join Yoshinobu. Oh, Switzerland pulling away. So much better behaved.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where a few of these horses go because they're all big variants in benchmarks and different races they could aim up at. But it seems an okay race, and I think this horse will make a horse next time in. Change of legs indicates a good quality job. Yeah, every horse is different. Every horse is different. Some horses are harder to get to change leg. Some of them change leg more than once in a race. Yeah, good chocks definitely. It does definitely make a difference. A good jockey can encourage a horse onto its right leg. But it's more of a horse thing, I think. I think Gatsby's will be suited in a Coolmore, especially if the track is soft to him and Winner Scene Players. Yeah, I can't knock that. I think down the straight will suit Gatsby's for sure. Funny horse though. Obviously, it's one of these Waller horses. It's a bit tricky where there's 5, 6, and 7 lengths between its best and its worst. It seems so. If everything goes its way and it's got the polish that day, it can run well. And obviously Switzerland looks back on track. I honestly thought it'd line up in the Everest for sure. Switzerland ran on from the inside of Rosehill. Big whoop. When it was dominant late. Maybe forgotten the corner for a lot of Everest. I think it'll be forgotten. What price is it? I'm happy. I was going to start taking some doubles the other day into Stormboy. Yeah, what is he? $4.50. Switzerland. You'd expect him to probably start favourite now, and it'd be unlikely that Traffic Warden or Growing Empire back up, you would imagine. And Stormboy probably the same. So 25 to 1 Gatsby's is interesting. You probably want to get it confirmed that it's going there first. Refind this horse is not nominated. I don't know. Well, so it's pre-noms. That's interesting. 25 to 1 pre-noms. Gatsby's is interesting. None of these horses will show up there. Perspiration Chance, Lady of Camelot, well, highly unlikely. Emirate, maybe. Coleman probably stretches in distance, doesn't come back in distance. Hyasugi, Bellatrix Star, unlikely. Well, I don't know. the back of that run the other day. Maybe it will line up there. Yeah, it's interesting. Geez, it's an improving horse, Bellatrix Star. Yeah, definitely. That's good, Nash. He's a beast into his own, Nash. He's either, in full flight, or you can get sleepy Nash, you can get questionable Nash. There's a few different versions of Nash. When he's in full flight, there's no better sight. When he's not in full flight, you want to bop him over the head. There's no doubt he's one of the most frustrating, talented riders that I've ever seen. Drive you crazy. Pretty straightforward race, this one. Just Party misses the kick a little bit. Couldn't get going early. Very unlucky coming from back in the field. Deconstruction, a much better ride than what it copped last start at Warwick Farm. Improved and ran well. More Territories, another negative back ride, but not much good. Snack Bar set outside a solid tempo, ran okay. Altoff, okay. Harry's Yacht, okay. Even this Marley only getting beaten 6 gave me question marks over this race. But again, the time looks okay. Off a solid tempo. They do come home a little bit below, but nothing too special. And the overall time's okay. I think it's another one of these. Nearly what you see is what you get. Definitely every runner had its chance due to the tempo. So this is Just Party missing it. Altoff gets taken back. A node straight to the front. Snack Bar ends up outside him. Then you sort of had some dead wood, if you want to call it, in the middle. Deconstruction runs well. King of Rousseau doesn't. Main is going to go for a spell. So a lot of these horses were in the middle, sort of ran cover for the ones out the back, or cost the ones out the back a bit of trouble. More Territories and Just Party come from back to run third and second, fourth and second, and Deconstruction sort of ridden a little bit more forward. He ran well. He ran well.
2 lengths further back to More Territories, Just Party.
Not much happens in the run. King of Rousseau wide, no cover. Both these horses basically don't finish. Just Party certainly the unlucky horse. Gets keen, misses the kick, back there, held up, back towards the inside, flashes late. Yeah, if it had a jump cleanly, arguably it would have won. If it had have settled in front of a few of these horses that just were getting in the way. Not really a horse that smells of a sharp sprinting type either. Again, another one of these horses that thrives on racing up near the pace and sort of quickening and getting through its gears. So pretty much a certainty beat, I'd say. The node was good. No excuses for anything behind it. It worked and led in the run and fought them off a bit of a failure in the Golden Rose. So good to see him bounce back. Again, I don't think there's anything special in these 3-year-olds, but there's not much else around. So they'll all find a race that's similar to this and be competitive again. I didn't think there was any real standouts. I'm a bit disappointed in More Territories. Probably not the horse that I thought it was or potentially would be, not going as well this prep. Not much to be learnt there, I don't think. Everest, we'll talk about the Everest later. Just Party finally showed what he promised. Yeah, he's gone very well, Just Party. If you're on it, you're very, very unlucky. It's just a horse, Altoff. Just a horse. It's just a horse.
How it pans out. There's the light. First leg of today's
Hill Stakes. What do they do here? They set a solid tempo, sort of back it off, and a little bit of an anchor drop between the 8 and the 6 here. So they definitely worked solidly through the first half of the race, or the leader did, and then sort of backed it off a bit, and attrition was well ridden. I laughed. This is another one of these change of tactics, and they interviewed the jockey after the race. I was told to ride it more forward, and they were reminded of their obligation to pass on the changes of tactics. I nearly guarantee you, if this horse had a change of tactics to be ridden more forward, it doesn't start $26. That's for sure. Coming out of that, was it the Fian? Easy to say now that the form was strong, but it was obviously strong weight for age race, not beaten too far by Pride of Jenny. And it just mapped like the horse was going to be given a quiet ride and out the back. And once it was outside leader, that was completely a game changer. And it was the winning move. But again, solid enough tempo. There was no excuses really for anything In the beaten brigade, Royal Patronage ran okay. Kovalica, its normal trick. Pericles, every chance. Nonconformist, solid again. Golden Path probably needs a little bit further. A little bit one pace, dropped the bit and sort of battled away, and the rest are pretty steady. So, yeah, it was, in hindsight, a silly price, $26. And when it was outside leader or up near the speed, it was a astronomically very wrong price.
First leg of today's quaddy with a good jackpot. Ready to go. Gates cling back, they're off and racing.
But it all makes sense. Again, take turnsy sort of horses. There's not much between a few of these. Kovalica going to the Melbourne Cup, I read today. Not sure about him, to be fair. Bit of a pack chaser.
Royal Patronage surges forward, and Royal Patronage takes the lead clearly now from New
He's not exactly dominant.
Yellow Cap was happy to hand up, and now Attrition darts up on the outside, and Attrition goes to a clear second.
There's nothing happening in the run here. Timmy sort of just went a little bit quick, and then not one of his best rides, as in used up, then lets the rest of the field come back into it, even though he's been used up. It was a really good ride from, is it Bo Mertens? Not to chase Royal Patronage early, just to sort of let him flow into the race. And, yeah, no, he's ridden the horse pretty much perfectly from the draw. Pericles every chance, Nonconformist every chance. Golden Path off the bit, battles away. And Kovalica circled them and was, you know, arguably a little unlucky. But the winner did sit outside leader and fought him off. So, yeah, clear best two runs of the first two. Pericles is probably just, that's Pericles, that's as good as he can go. Royal Patronage is super tough again. Golden Path definitely wants 2,400, I'd say. Nonconformist is going well. There's races for these horses in the coming weeks, for sure. Don't know what this horse is, Royal Patronage. He sort of just tries really hard. Maybe he's a box seater horse that would appreciate taking a sit, but he can be dangerous in a race. Pericles is a horse I always try and bet around, to be honest, these days. Yeah, I think what you see is what you get here. It's a decent enough race, I think. Yeah, time was above average with that little anchor drop in the middle, which is usually a good sign. If time's above average with anchor drop in the race, it's usually a good sign for the race being okay. So yeah, I think that form will travel. The all first time Sydney away for to get the last good fun before I go to the autumn there for another race. Just so profile. Has it got its balls? Has it? It does too. So does Royal Patronage. That's interesting. Yeah, I think he's hard to catch, old Zach, isn't he? Yeah, was he normally loves to save ground too. But yeah, I'm just not convinced. What I don't like about Kovalica from a standpoint of going to a race like the Melbourne Cup is that he just doesn't, to me,
Attrition a length and a half clear from Kovalica running on. It's Attrition in front of Kovalica. Attrition hanging on.
I don't know. He definitely finds the line. Like, he's ran the fast last 400 of the day, so his effort's very good. He's just, I don't know. He's had his chance too many times in a row now and not put a race away. He's just a bit punishing, but the performance is obviously is very good, circling as opposed to most of these runners that didn't have to. I'm just not convinced that he was ever going to go past the leader. Waller trains most of his horses in very similar fashion, so I don't think it makes much difference how he trains them. I think he trains them all very similarly, so maybe he's a little bit softer on them earlier in their preps when he's trying to keep them to a mile or whatever, but I don't think that makes much of a difference. Most of his horses have got that grounding that makes not much of a difference. Goddamn Vauban, absurd. There's two horses that I'll be happy never to see again. Alan Brown Stakes. Was this for $1.5 million? Winner gets a perfect run here to shock. Looked like it was going to on paper and probably worked out even better than what they hoped for. Gringotts had its chance. Waterford a little bit unlucky. Typical Waterford. And Cap back up the inside. was okay. I know a Star overly used too much in front. Fastest of the day to the 200 first up. Not easy to sort of fight him off. So its effort was good. Territory Express, the fastest last 600 of the day, ducking and weaving. Belclair just maybe a little keen. I thought she presented the winner. It was my best way here, and its run died pretty quickly. It sort of sprinted. What I don't mind like is when horses sprint like she did and then knock up really quickly. It's usually a sign that they've sort of overworked in the run and they can improve off that. So similar ride. Ridden a little bit patiently and allowed to settle. Next time out, we'll see if she's still got what it takes left, I think, in her 7-year-old mare. But sort of similar race, 1400. Next time out, she could run well, I think. Straight Ace was okay. Punch Lane sat outside the solid tempo. Macarena was good, sits wide, no cover the whole way. Menable's lost its speed. Samana doesn't look to be going that great. So, yeah, the race overall, solid tempo. They build from the 800, so there's no slacking here. Above average time to the 8, and then quicken from the 8 to the 6, and then overall they've sort of run home in even time for a fast overall time. So this is a pretty good race. Should feed some decent races in the next few weeks. The winner's performance is solid. It's probably the best horse I've ever seen in earmuffs. That can sort of travel near the speed and build off it, and just a perfect match for Nash. This horse. So Punch Lane forward. Again, this is what another one that drives me crazy. I know a Star. I know that its racing pattern is this, and they've trialled it up this way. But look, it's like you can't even see it. It's not cleanly away. It's here. It sort of bounces up in the air and is on the back foot, and Rachel's just riding the ears off it to hunt forward. It eventually just goes way too quick. Going to ride in the Breeders' Plate or the Breeders' Cup or something like what the heck? Anyway, good luck to her. Probably saving her from having to ride at Kembla over the next few weeks on a Saturday. Belclair just a little bit keen behind the leader. This is here to shock, perfect run. Samana, perfect run. Gringotts into the perfect spot. Macarena's out there, probably 4 wide, no cover. NCAP a little bit further back than probably what they wanted to be. This is Territory Express. It's probably one of the runs of the race. And Waterford's back on its inside. I think the main sort of runs to highlight going forward horses that can win or that have definitely can slot into a race and win. I think Belclair's worth keeping an eye on. Here to shock, absolutely no knock on it. Just that perfect racing pattern, the way he sort of finds a length or two off at fast tempo like this, he's always going to be dangerous. Macarena can definitely land in a race next start where it can sort of dominate or sit on speed really comfortably. I think it's going very well. Just a victim of circumstance here. Gringotts is flying.
Is the last one. I know a Star, just like its lead-up trial, is zipping along. I know a Star by 3 lengths. On Punch to Mana from Gringotts starting to improve. Rustic.
So interesting horses to keep an eye on late. Territory Express back here. Waterford's already sort of put 3 lengths on it without having to spend any energy. This is here to shock, just gets the perfect run, and Gringotts' perfect run to sort of run him down. So again, not too many excuses here, I didn't think. Macarena did have excuses. So Clipperton sort of come wide on Waterford, and this is Territory Express sort of ducking back here in the pink. So he goes for a run there, gets balked for a run, has to coat back, tries to go here, and then gets balked for a run on the back of Punch Lane, cuts back to the inside, cuts back around the heels of of Belclair late. So it's had to change path like 4 or 5 times in the straight and still run the fastest last 600 of the day. So, yeah, it's just got a huge engine. Territory Express, just a nightmare. It's racing pattern. It's sort of in isolation. What you see is what you get. Here to shock, just a real professional. Same as Gringotts, real professional. No real excuses for Waterford. Maybe he would have finished an inch closer if saved ground rather than coming around him. Same for NCAP, was okay. You can't be too nice to Territory Express for being held up because it's just a horse that's a nightmare. It's always going to be ridden that way, needs things to go its way. Macarena can improve, Belclair can improve. Straight Ace was only first up, went okay. Amenable, not a big Amenable fan. I think Samana probably needs a reset. I know a Star was a good effort. Jockey change and the fitness run under the belt, maybe 21 days with a little freshen. I'd prefer to 2 weeks. It's probably that run may take a little bit out of it. Was there a reason I didn't like Waterford? When? After the race? Before the race? Straight Edge got sold, yeah. So it's now in those Archer Park colours, and I think it's been transferred to Anthony, but I think there's a bit more to the story there. I think Ed's now working for Anthony, something like that. So yeah, it was definitely changed ownership since last start. In that race itself, if you're talking about Waterford, I still think I marked it like $12 or $13, which was fair, which was not too far from its actual price. It's just a horse that, a bit like Territory Express, always gets back, needs luck, and had Sam Clipperton on as well, who's not in vintage form. So I didn't dislike him in the race. I just thought there were others that were better set up to find better challenging spots, which is kind of how it worked out. He's just a horse that needs a bit to go his way. Yeah, Samana does look gone. The Nivison, this is a weird race. Not a huge fan of this race. I think it's pretty smelly going forward. Softish tempo, not ridiculous, just slightly below average. Come home slightly above average for an even time. So the time's okay. Just not sure about the way Danny St. Darcy looked like it was nearly a certainty beat. Coco Jambu looks like it's nearly a certainty beat. Ballroom Bella looked like it went really poorly. I just didn't think the race looked great overall. It looked like they actually went slower and came home slower visually. It just didn't look like much of a race at all. So Peace Treaty leads, and again, you got this thing, Danny St. Darcy's actually, like, there's Rachel sort of hunting again. So again, on the back foot a little bit, Danny St. Darcy, Rachel hunting it, and the horse gets super keen, so tries to reverse park it now, and the horse gets super keen. I was amazed that she crossed to the fence here, and Coco Jambu sort of held up. I think that was the losing play for Coco Jambu. Probably could have held that spot and forced Rachel to sit one off, and Ballroom Bella to be 3 wide. Probably what cost it the race potentially. Either way, they pretty much all have their chances from this spot. Blank to Blank gets caught 3 wide, but I don't think it really had a strong winning chance. I think it's better suited back in distance. Everything goes right that possibly can for Alentia. Lands in a perfect spot and then gets the trail up, so gets its a chance to go whenever it wants and use its sprint. Coco Jambu doesn't get that, and neither does Danny St. Darcy. So, yeah, softish win. I think this horse can build off this. I think only one trial. It wasn't sort of primed to go here. It didn't look physically primed to go, so I think it's got improvement to come. Alentia, the money coming for it late was a good sign. Sort of she gets to flow into the race here perfectly, whereas Coco Jambu and Danny St. Darcy are held up in the zip locker there, and because they haven't gone overly quick, the gaps aren't opening. So yeah, and then Coco Jambu sort of gets the door closed on it a bit there. Danny St. Darcy, it looks like it's a certainty beat. Look at it, just like towing itself to the line and then accelerates late. Like, I don't know what. It just looked like it was a certainty beat and beyond certainty beat. Alentia pulls up really quick late, which again shows I think it was getting tired and has improvement left. Like when they ease up on a horse like that and it basically pulls up quick, I think she didn't have a lot left in the locker, but she can improve off it. Good first up run for Coco Jambu. Did the same thing last time. And this horse, like, what's its form? Archie Alexander cast off that used to run over 1,200 metres. He's not really known for sprinting. Had a good record, but nothing super strong. It definitely looks like it's gone to another level. Hadn't won since when? March, February, March, January, 28th of January 2023. So hasn't won for, nearly 18 months. He's doing a good job with it, for sure. Matty Dale, Glenn Cale's steady rider. So, very unlucky. Blinkers on first time. So blinkers off first up for Dale, put him on. So, yeah, it's just gone around a crazy price there probably, and very, very, very unlucky not to win at 40 to 1. So if you're on it, You're entitled to be sick. It had never been tried over 1400 apart from one run, which is interesting because Archie normally likes putting them out in distance. So interesting to see what they do with this horse now, 12-12, whether they step it out or keep it at the 12. I think the plan is for Ed to be in partnership with Anthony Cummings, and I think the path that they've suggested has to happen for him to do that is for him to be foreman before he can apply for partnership. I believe that's what's happened. I think a lot of the horses have been transferred into Anthony's name from Ed's name. I'm not certain. Yeah, I'd like to see Macarena in the invitation too, Josh. Yeah, but that form, I think Alentia can improve off it. It's just, I'm sceptical about how super strong that race is, but we'll probably see it line up. What's this happened there? Who's that? There's Miss Hellfire and the fast last 200 of the day. Is that right? Interesting. Lucky last, nothing really happens here. Ferrari, everyone kind of expected to be very hard to beat if it saw daylight. Nearly looked like a train wreck half up the straight. They definitely controlled the tempo here. Went out sort of 4 lengths below, quickened a little bit from the 8 to the 6, and then came home about 3 lengths above for another rock solid time overall off a softish tempo. So certainly a pace advantage to those on speed. Hard to run on from the back. Nothing's surprising there. It just looked like that sort of race on paper. Ferrari had its chance. Tristate had its chance. Dollar Magic had its chance. And the top two certainly dominated. Tristate a bit unlucky not to hold the winner off, but the best horse
Ferrari in pole position.
probably won. Did win.
Racing, and she's jumped out all right. Ferrari. Tri-State was clearly the best into stride.
Had to be used up a little bit from that inside draw, Ferrari. The on-pace horses have cruised across from their draws. Nothing really happens here, I don't think. Everyone a star, a little bit unlucky. Stromboli a little bit unlucky, but they weren't really super forces in the race, I didn't think. So he gets ball for a run there. Assist goes back to the inside, and he's probably lucky that inside fence run appeared and was sort of there. I think Josh has tried to get 2 or 3 off, which is usually the right place to be. And even if it was arguably a little bit worse ground up the inside, Ferrari had that quality to be able to be too strong. And you can see sort of, again, we get to see through the line. How good's that until we get to see these people bounce up and down? Yeah, its effort was good. Gently rolled okay. First off, Creon okay, on okay. Miss Hades was okay first up. These sort of runners probably need to go back in grade, whereas Ferrari certainly can go up in grade. Tristate's in the right grade. It's the one that's going to progress from this grade. There's no doubt about that. The rest probably won't. If they do, they won't go far. Anthony's horses are definitely going a little bit better now than they were, I believe. Matt Taylor picked up Boston Rocks, having actually cosy with it. Yeah, I don't think who couldn't pay his bills. The trainer, the owner. Yeah, the owner was. I think. I think the owner got in a bit of trouble. Of straight charge. Matt Dale. There's not too many people I would give a horse over Matt Dale, to be honest. I think he's a very good trainer. I think he's one of the few that has got a punting mentality and sets horses for races, which is and gets it right more often than not. Puts a few weird jockeys on. Other than that, I can't knock him at all, Matt Dale. I think he's a great trainer. That's unbelievable that they rejected it due to it. That's unbelievable that they said that. I have heard similar. That there's a few issues they have to work out for sure. So yeah, I don't think it was too many standout performances there, but most of the races were pretty solid. The Midatsu race is probably the race that's got the least appeal about it. The highway pretty bad, but the Gloaming I think will be fine for the spring champion. The Roman Consul's not out of this world. That those horses will go to the Coolmore and run well for sure. Tapp-Craig, it was okay. The Hill Stakes, Alan Brown Stakes, the Nivison, they'll all feed decent races. There'll be definitely some decent form come out of these races. There just weren't any superstar performances, I didn't think. I'll have a look at the Caulfield runs now. So yeah, what was weird was I don't get all the sectional breakdowns and things for Caulfield like I do for New South Wales. So all I get sort of front half, back half, and I don't get the sectionals ranked or anything like that like I do for Sydney. So I'm a little bit blind in comparison, sectional wise. But a lot of these races were fast run races at Caulfield. And there wasn't a lot of merit in the back half of the race. So it was nearly like there was a tailwind out the back and then a headwind in the straight, but I don't think there was. It's just very strange the way that the sort of track raced. And I heard someone today saying Damien Lade's ride in the Caulfield Guineas was an unbelievable ride. They've gone out 12 lengths above, and run 7 lengths above, and the race looked pretty crap. So I don't really understand what happened there at Caulfield. I think the track was just inconsistent, laney, sort of fast lanes. Parts of the track were certainly faster than the others, I think. And maybe it was too firm for some horses as well. It was a bit of a weird surface for sure, but it's just the sections are really strange. You've got sort of Jimmy Star closing off fast tempo, but then Deny Knowledge holding off the field quite comfortably off a fast tempo in sort of Pride of Jenny style. Private Life as well, setting a fast tempo, holding on. Bellatrix Star closing from the back off a softer tempo. Again, with not a lot of merit in the last section, though. And then you've got Antino's performance, which I'll never be able to explain. I don't know what that was. It was insane. The ride was okay, but the ride was good, but the performance was insane. You just don't get to see horses do what it did. In my life, I've not seen too many performances like that. And it doesn't look like visually they're going as fast as they are here, which again, to me, it's nearly like they're going downwind. There are obviously some gaps here, and it was just an incredible ride, I thought, on Deny Knowledge to suck a bit of the life out of Mr. what's his name, Mr. Brightside. You know, did he do the wrong thing coming around this horse? Like, you're on $1.70 chance or whatever he is. Would you prefer him to have clear flowing run, or to be able to, save every inch, hoping to get an inside run off the back of a less sort of fancied horse? What horse was it? Wasn't it Jenny Lala or something? So it's 50-1 chance that's arguably going to be the first horse to weaken up on speed. So do you really want to be trapped behind it, or do you come out wide? Did he go a little bit earlier, or did he get sort of, I understand that gap opens up now and it looks a bit worse than what it is, but would it have opened up if he didn't go? I don't know. So, I can't really knock Craig Williams' ride that much. I think the best ride was the winner. I think the best performance was the winner. Like Mr. Brightside was there to win for mine and just couldn't get there. So I definitely couldn't knock it too much. Tissue runs on okay. What's the other horse post impressions? Was it Adelaide River runs okay? Coco Sun okay. It's going to be hard to line this form up. That's the problem. Just, what this track was, horses that handled it, horses that didn't. I think it's going to be very hit or miss. It's going to be very difficult to work it out. Yeah, I think the best rider on the race there anyway. Yeah, he did. He did travel up there. It's good. I think it was a good sign from the Freedman camp that they've been trying to ride this horse a little bit more conservative and save its energy and teach it to settle. And then they put that they put those tactics away and sort of took it to the front and took advantage of the way the track was. Obviously, Zara's a very, very, very good rider, but it wasn't a given that they were going to do that. There was a chance that they'd let Jenny Lala lead and sort of try and take the sit. But they took the ball by the horns and got the result, and maybe that was her race, but it was still a good effort. Caulfield Guineas was just super weird. Number one, both the gays couldn't go, but then you see how fast they were going, and it makes a little bit more sense why they were going that fast. Not really sure. So Wanneroo half misses it, gets checked out of play, and Mayfair just couldn't really go and looked at just a beaten horse. They'd run second last and last. So very strange that the two Waterhouse runners that looked like they were going to control the tempo couldn't get near the speed. Broadsiding, he's just hell-bent on getting to the fence. Not really sure why. And the reason why I'm not really sure why is because the horses that could take him into the race were what's it called? Angel Capital and Evaporate were the two most likely horses that were going to take this horse into the race. And he's just sort of beeline to the fence and ridden a horse that's, whatever it is, $1.80 chance, and basically said, I'm going to ride it for luck, and it's the only way I can win. I think it was a very poor ride, but I think the horse is very overrated. And sort of got away with the race first up, where Mayfair's come out and run poorly. Is that form super strong? I know it obviously came out and won an okay race since, but I don't think it's any champion Broadsiding. I think it's a bit of a wet tracker in an even bunch of 3-year-olds. He's probably the best one, but I don't know. I don't know what this race is. Like, they don't look like they're going that fast. Look, they're that bunched, and the track was obviously just super firm around the back. Like firm around the back. And the straight with either a headwind or was wet. I don't really understand the dynamic of what's happened. But you can see they don't look like they're going that quick, and they are. Angel Capital, I think the jockey said, not the same horse. Evaporate ran okay from the back, off the fast tempo. But I can't make too many excuses for Broadsiding. Had a bit of a breather midway from in second, especially given the tempo. Instead of being on the back of Evaporate and having to get a sort of tag up, he's had to work to get to the outside and Bullock and blah, blah, blah. But even Rooted Capital's hanging on there. The other source, this grey thing. Is this form? What is this form? I don't really know. Rooted Capital burn off late. Wanneroo is sitting up and only beaten 6. Orochi in that had the right run and nearly won by Act of God. It's just these fast times just seem like they're not warranted. I don't really understand what's going on here. Even that camel coming again late, I don't really know. Is it the fastest Broadsiding? I think he'd won off a fast tempo, or he won off a fast tempo at Eagle Farm that day. And the reason why it was a similar tempo is because there was garbage. The last few sections were garbage. But I think that day it was down the middle a little bit. Or was it not? He was still dominant. But yeah, he's won off 2 slow tempos, 3 slow tempos, an even tempo, a fast tempo at Eagle Farm that day of 1400 on soft. So his best performance for mine are all been on soft tracks. He did win that next start at Eagle Farm on a firm track, and then he won first up on a firm enough track, but it was a 5 officially. No, he's a good horse, but I don't think he's any superstar. Growing Empire. Well, I don't think it runs a mile. Maybe it does. I don't know. It's very hard to. Machine Travel. I think that Hickman horse that flew up the fence is a bloody good horse. I think it's a very, very good horse, Private Legacy. It was just the wrong price. So I'd be a little bit careful with it there. Scalacci was pretty crap. Again, see, the time's good here, and this race looked crap. I think the track was just fast around the back. Betting obviously knew Mornington Glory was in a coma. Looked a bit of a lottery, didn't it? And it's kind of how it played out. I don't know what to do with that form, all these second-class sprinters. Here we go. So they've gone like 8 lengths above standard here. I've read some something where someone said, oh, he picked the right time when the speed came out of the race to take off. Well, the speed never came out of the race. They went fast the whole way. They slowed down a bit, but they were still going fast. They've run some crazy fast overall time. The horses run like a 2, 3, 4, 5 length peak on its career. I don't know what this win is. What is it? He's dragged it out the back. Horse can't half go. Definitely solid tempo up front. Like when he's taken off, it's not as if they've slackened the tempo. These horses are. He's caught a few of them napping, but as soon as they see him go, they try and go with him, and he just circles them in 200 metres, and then it's actually probably a better ride than I give him credit for. He did catch quite a few of them napping and gets to the front nearly by the time they've worked it out, and then he sustains the run. So it's probably, in hindsight, a better ride than what I gave him credit for. But to sustain this run for 800 metres or whatever it's done, not many horses can do this. And was he really going this good before this? And he's beaten a wall. Like there's a flying V behind him. I don't know. Do you back him or lay him off that? The hill comes quick at Caulfield, so he did the least work in that 200. Yeah, the race shape certainly worked out well for him, and the ride was incredible. And I actually thought that they were sprinting up by the time that he took off, and he circled them anyway. That's the first time I've looked at it closely, and it was a better ride and it was actually worse that the others didn't pick up on it and sort of respond, but it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered. The horse would have won regardless. It just probably wouldn't have won by the margin it did, but yeah, just an incredible performance. No real excitement. I don't worry about him too much at the moment. I'm sure he'll attract plenty of interest next time he goes around. It'll be interesting to see what he does. Races this week. Oh, actually, I want to look at Orchestral. Sorry.
Race with fierce impact in 2019. Field set to go. Another Will, followed by Desert Lightning, Magnus Spin, and behind those El Safina, Antino, every poster winner at the 200 metres, 5 lengths in front of Desert Lightning, El Safina, followed by Craig, but it's all Antino. Blake Shin, take a bow from last to first, has bolted in.
So this is Orchestral coming through the middle. Yeah.
6 lengths. Craig together. 600 metres to go.
So Orchestral's in the spot where it couldn't get flowing, whereas Antino could, right? Not that she would have done what he did anyway, but this is Orchestral back towards the inside in number 6. Thought she was probably the most interesting horse in the race, apart from another Will. So, God, wow, gets stopped in its tracks. Holy shit, what a run it was.
Take a bow from last to first, has bolted in, demolished them. Antino,
yeah, it's gone like a rocket. It's gone like an absolute rocket. Orchestral. Who rode it? Daniel Stackhouse. I'm pretty sure Daniel Stackhouse will not be on Orchestral next start. Gone in a punting stable. I'd say yes. Hard to back Australian horse in Hong Kong. Could back it in. And the problem with Antino is his racing pattern, right? He's lost his early speed. He's a nightmare. Obviously, if he puts up a performance like that, he can win any race. But it's not easy to continue to repeat those sort of performances unless your name's Winks. And I agree with Josh that Orchestra will be very hard to beat. So it goes Empire Rose. I heard there was a chance it might go to a different race. There's a couple of potential targets. I'll find out. I can definitely find out where that horse is going. So we've got a million races to look at this week. Everest, I'm still well and truly Camp Sunshine in Paris. The weather not looking as bad certainly looks better for her for mine. I think she draws sort of in the first sort of 3, 4, 5, 6. She's going to be very hard to beat. I'm not. I think I Wish I Win is ready to peak, but I'm not convinced it's dominant. Bella Nipotina's short enough for mine. I'm happy to take on Growing Empire. I just think it's all a bit soon for him, and if it wins an Everest, too good. Jolly Star's very dangerous, but I can't have her shorter than Sunshine in Paris. I do think it's probably second pick, and then sort of Traffic Warden, Steffi Magnetica. I think the shine's gone off her a little bit too since that trial. I didn't think the trial was great. Giga Kick needs to improve. Storm Boy needs to improve. I Am Me needs to improve. I think she's each way, unless she draws 12. Man, like if you drew 4 or 5, and you could and the $11 each way still there, I think it's a bet to nothing. I didn't like Steffi's trial since its last run. She's dangerous if she's back on track, but I just thought she was a bit scratchy there. I didn't really love it, but she's dangerous. You might end up getting a silly price there. I probably wouldn't want to lose on the race potentially if she won, but I just can't understand why Sunshine in Paris is not favourite. It should be $5 or $6, but I can't understand why it's not favourite. I don't understand why it's double that price. Yeah, I think the weather's definitely cleared right up. It looked like we were going to get some big rainfalls, and that sort of gone away. I think the same for Caulfield. It looked pretty awful there. And now it doesn't. Looks like it's going to be a really, truly run race for the Caulfield Cup. I think that'll suit Elias. I think it'll run well. I think Zardozi will run well, but I think it probably needed the rain. Land Legend, the firmer the track, the better, but I'm not sure it's a Caulfield horse, and I think he could be looking for even further now. So I think sort of Melbourne Cup's more suitable to Land Legend. Have they found? I think Craig knew it's going to ride Deny Knowledge. This horse is interesting. I don't know enough about it. I'm not a big Warmonger fan. Duke de Sessa looked like it needed the wet track. I think we're known as riding Positivity. They could absolutely fly here. Yeah, I sort of kept coming back to Elias as the horse to beat. Drops to 53, really bomb-proof sort of racing pattern. I think it's the one to beat Elias. What was the issue with Steffi? I don't know. She just didn't stretch out and didn't look that great in the trial to me, and I heard she pulled up scratchy, but I don't know what the issue was. I don't think it's going to be wet, Josh. I don't think it's going to be wet anywhere. The last forecast I saw was pretty good. So this is Caulfield. So the 3 mils, 1 mil, 1 mil, 1 mil. There's no real rain around 1 mil. Maybe we'll get some more than what it predicts, but that'll probably just stop them watering it at the moment. I wouldn't imagine that any of that will hurt anyone. And then Ramwick was similar, I think. 1.7, 6.2 on Friday. It'll just stop them watering it. You might end up with a 4 then 25 Saturday. You should end up with a 4 or a 5 at worst. Yeah, no wet. 25 mil at Ramwick this afternoon. Even just stop raining now. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. I think that'll just stop them watering it. I don't mind. Significant rainfall at the start of a week, to me, is the best thing that can happen because it stops them getting the goddamn hoses out. So, yeah, that doesn't bother me. That have they got? Where's that? What is it? The Australian Turf Club. Weather and track details. I love this. It's supposed to be like live. 23.9 mils last 24 hours. What have they got the track as? Isn't that good? No rating. The 24 mils, but no rating. What's the point? And they've got, how good's that? 24 mils, no rating. They've got, this has got 0.1 rainfall last 24 hours, so no update on the Racing Australia one. absolutely blind on here. And it's only for their biggest race day of the year. Aren't they geniuses? Anyway, I think the track will be a 4 or 5 at worst, even if it got 25 mil. I think that's perfect. Caulfield Cup, yeah, I think Elias the one to beat there. King Charles Stakes. It's hard to see. The only query I've got with Pride of Jenny is staying at the mile. Celestial Legend definitely doesn't look dangerous. Camellia's Jewel doesn't look dangerous. My Oberon, none of these horses look dangerous. It definitely looks between the top 3, probably the top 1. And I wouldn't bother with taking the price. I think even if you get, I'd rather take $9 her drawn gates 3 to 6 or 3 to 7 or whatever, or 2 to 6 or whatever it is. I'd rather wait and see the draw with her than bother about, because I doubt she's going to come up $6 if she draws 4 or 5. You know what I mean? So I'd rather wait for the sake of a dollar or two. Yeah, I think Pride of Jenny's price would be interesting there. What price they bet? So they only open 230, 280 Fangirl. Again, there's nothing looks like it's worth stepping into there. Lions Raw's a big price, place price. My Oberon. That interesting markets. Someone brought it up last week. Some of these place prices in these races is just completely ridiculous. So well, there's no real standout. Kosciuszko. Front page 280. Boom Talk $5. Far too easy. 7. Melling Truth 9. Gee, Bandy's Boy looks a big price. Atwee 10's a big price too. He's he's getting on front page. I know he's a quality sort of sprinter, but gee, he's got to run out of biscuit soon, surely. And there's a fair bit of speed here. $13 Bandy's Boy. Like Compelling Truth's going to go forward. Elson's Boy's going to go forward. Front page going to go forward. Creon's going to go forward. Martini Mama won't be far away. There's a heap of speed. Boom Talk's going to go forward. Yeah, it can win. I'm scared that he's going to put Sam Collett on or something crazy. I don't know who he's put on as a rider. That would scare me. And Bandy's Boy can run well. Have heard nothing about Prognosis. Had a quick look at its form and it looks a talented horse. Yeah, Tom Kitt was brave. It's probably a big gap between the prices between it and Seal Wolf, but I think Tom Kitt is looking for further, not shorter, so I don't think it'll trouble those horses at a mile. Yeah, that race interests me there. Again, I'd love to see the draw, and you're probably not going to get too big a difference in prices, but yeah, the 2 horses definitely interest me, Bandy's Boy and Atwit's End there. Don't have Sea Wolf in any futures. He was just too up in the air where he was trying to set the horse for the race. He was setting it for, so I've not put Sea Wolf in anything. I don't think any horse of Waller's can chase Pride of Jenny. I don't think any horse in that race can chase Pride of Jenny. It's just completely going to control. Major Beale's probably going to be closest to it in the run if it runs, and I doubt that it'll run there, will it? I wouldn't imagine it will. You just complete cannon fodder. Big Dance Wildcard. Holy cow. Well, it went like an absolute rocket last start. Chorlton Lane's not much good. High Dandy's just a horse. Robusto's just a horse. Ducass's needs a lot to go its way. Too much Caviar's, I think, failed second up after a decent run first up. Thunderlips is very average. Rivier's average. Hollywood Heroes got beat at Canamble or something yesterday. if it lines up, surely that's a big price. $15 into 13. It went like an actual rocket the other day. Colour Sergeant, missed. Shadow. Eagle should be 2 weeks before the Charles, and the Charles should be 2 weeks before the thing. Yeah, well, all the programming's just makes no sense. None of it. None of it. They just throw $1 million, $2 million races here, there, and everywhere, and you get horses backing up into races for no reason just because of the money. You get horses going in there. It's just carnage. The overspend and the programming combination is horrific. Whew. Ledger. Wow, look at this race. Miramasa, if I'm assuming it goes to the Caulfield Cup. Waltham was okay the other day. I thought it got. Jesus Christ. Yeah, we'll worry about that one later in the week. Hank Stakes, Lekbart 350. Wow, that's short. Sounds of Heaven, Gotcha, Chicken Mojito, Scarlet Oak, Horse-Bred Flirt. I think I've killed it. Good Band, it was okay the other day. Slotties, Watch My Girl, $34. Terra Stars going okay. Popping Champagne. Gee. I don't know enough about this race. Hinge is just going okay. Wow. Thanks, Stakes. How do you ride Fangirl against Prodigy? You can only ride Fangirl one way. Did you watch the Canelo race? I did. Fangirl has to be ridden cold. There's nothing you can do. And I think Fangirl goes best off slow tempos, I think. So Prodigy's, she's like she could start very short. Especially with all those horses coming out of the fan and running out of their heads. Reginald Allen, Wings of Desire, Dominita. It's no good. Island Deck. It's not a bad horse. Island Deck. McGillis, just a horse. It's an interesting horse, Island Deck. Actually, I might look it up right now. I think I reviewed the race it came out of, but it was a sort of dominant win there the other day at Kembla. Did come down the outside. It was pace assisted, still 86. 1,000 metres too, that's a problem. To go. Pretty talented horse though. Just sort of ridden arrogantly, comes to the outside here and puts him away pretty easy. It looks a nice horse physically and it's got a bit of upside. So it's an interesting horse, Island Deck. Not as if they've missed it though. Good sort. $11, delicious. Jeez, these are ordinary horses. Canara has absolutely been butchered its last couple, but it's no star. Silver Wedding's been butchered, it's no star. Titanium Miss is not a bad horse. It's got better than a $21 chance in this race. The 1,400 metres, so it's got to go 1,000 to 1,400. Dominetta won the race. It was just dead set handed the race at Warwick Farm the other day. Good sorts, just geez, this is a big price, I think. The 1,200, 1,200, 1,250. I don't think it's going to have any problem with 1,400 metres, this horse. Controlled the race and won the other day, beat Miss Cuva. I think that's good form for this. I think this horse goes okay. There's a bit of speed, but not crazy amount. I think Titanium Miss is interesting there. Port Lockroy Silver Eagle. Yeah, I agree. It's a good horse, Island Deck, but 1,000 to 1,400 is not easy to do. First up, second up, and I think they said it was off one trial there or something. It's a pretty crazy setup. Okay, Southport.com for $4.50. Emoji $5. So how far is the Silver Eagle? 1,300. Port Lockroy 16-1. Holy shit! They can't put him on it again, can they? They can't put Sherry on top of Port Lockroy again, can they? Surely not. $17. Caballas can start now. Skybird, that's not a fair fight. Port Lockroy versus Carboy, that's not a fair fight. Roll on high first up. V8 went average in that race, didn't it, the other day, first up. Striker's flying, but I think Port Lockroy should be shorter than it. Arkansas Kid, 1,300. Got to be a question mark. Komochi's flying. Southport Tycoon was a good win the other day. Jesus Christ. $5 a place is just insane. Doubtful to make the field. That's a big issue. What are they? They haven't got weights out yet. They've only got noms. $83 Raider. Holy crap. Well, War Machine definitely won't get in. $83, $81, $81. How many starters do they get? 4. They only get 14 plus 4. They got 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shit, it's in all sorts of trouble. It'll probably be emergency. In all sorts of trouble. Well, we'll have to wait and see then. Sydney Stakes overpass looks extremely hard to beat here. Think about it, Marzu. Well found, isn't it? $6 they bet overpass. That was a big price. I honestly thought it'd get a slot in the Everest. And they've prepared it for the Everest, so it should run well. Climbing Star was huge the other day. Airman. These run hard to say. Striker. Yeah, I think that's a wait and see. Happy to wait and see what the barrier draws do with those prices. Doesn't look anything special there. Geez, I thought Estrella would be going for a spell after last start. It's $3.50 favourite. Second favourite behind Iosugi. Way to the stars, $6. There's got to be a gap in this race. Commemorative Isthmus. What is this race? $1,000 meters Caulfield. Holy shit. That takes the shine off things. 53 commemorative, 55.5. Wait and see. 1,000 Guineas Prelude. Medium T-side 20s. GG's Mysteries. Take turns horses. Port Lockroy's in the 88 1400. They've renamed it. The old Caulfield Sprint. Noongar. Pinstripe, Gentleman Roy. Aegon. Coast Watch was a sick watch the other day. Aegon. Gee, that's a weak race. I think Gentleman Roy looks well placed there. Punch Lane, Afterthought, blah, 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 blah. Just too many races, aren't there? It's just crazy. You're just running out of horses. Tristar. Like, this used to be a good race. Have a look at it. And these are half the horses that are in Sydney. Just take turns sort of races. Too darn discreet. No, don't know those horses. Caulfield Classic, another race. Keeneland, Red Aces. Geez, it went like so. That's an interesting race. I guess these are horses that are likely to come to the Spring Champion. It went like a rocket the other day, Keeneland. This is the horse that I've been following in Adelaide. What the heck's it doing there? Wonder what rider they'll put on it. Holy cow, they've put some bad riders on this horse. 80 and 81 riders have got in the Silver Eagle the last couple of years. Yeah, you look right. Former Cox Plate, like Globe. Yeah, Mighty Globe. This is the one with the bad feet, isn't it? I think it had Equicast and all sorts on its feet there at one point. Yeah, I can't see too much there. Probably the horse that interests me most was Titanium Miss. I'm not certain that it'll go there. But one to keep an eye on when the fields come out. Titanium Miss for sure. Port Lockroy, interesting wherever it goes. But obviously I'm obsessed with the horse, so be careful. But yeah, this race, Reginald Allen, I think Titanium Miss can run a race there. It's the horse that tried to go through the running rail at Kembla 2 starts ago in the windy day. State of America in the Big Dance wildcard looks a big price. Rider Jenny, I think, will start dominant favourite there. It'd be interesting. What's the name? What's the name of the goddamn fangirl? So she come off a 9-length slow tempo last time when she won. Time before that, she came off a soft tempo or even to soft tempo when she beat Militarized Think It over 1400 at Randwick. Ridiculously slow tempo over a mile the day she beat Mr. Brightside Oberon. Ridiculously slow tempo the day she beat Princess Grace and Zaki. The last 2 times she's been in super fast run races with the Cox Plate, where she was obviously a bit unlucky, and then backing up in the mile race off the back of that, she was well beaten, sort of unplaced both times. Time before that, off a fast tempo on a slow heavy track in the Epsom or the Doncaster or something. The Doncaster it must have been. She still ran well, but was out of a place. And second in the Coolmore Classic by the look of it, I Wish I Win off a fast tempo. She's never won off a fast tempo. The only time she's won off a slightly above average tempo was a Group 3 at Flemington Mile as a 3-year-old filly. And in her defence, she's not run into too many fast tempos. She's mainly been in weight for age races. But yeah. What about her run at Goulburn? That was an even tempo, but that was mainly because she just blew their heads off. Decent maiden win. Lee Megorian. It's a fast time, but not a fast tempo. They've just sort of... Yeah, it'll be super interesting, won't it? What you would have to think that Pride of Jenny will just drive her insane. Yeah, she was on the backup though, off the Cox Plate, wasn't she? 2,000 back to 1,600. But yeah, you would think she's going to do something similar here, as in drive her crazy. Different stage of the prep, so she was 5th run in, coming out of a Cox Plate. This time she's 3rd up with a trial in between both times, so she's a lot fresher this time, you would think, and going in similar form. I think it's $2.30. It's nothing too exciting, but Jeepers Creepers. Jeez. Fangirl's going to have to put up the performance of a life to beat her, I think. All right, yeah, so those fields will come out tomorrow, a few of them, and then Wednesday, obviously. I'm not diving into too much. Well done. Was it Daniel last week finding who Deny Knowledge 20 to 1 each way? I'll find out, but I'm not sure, Ian. I'll find out. I'll find out where it's going. They hadn't made up their mind. They were sort of up in the air. Just trying to find out now. Yeah, I'll find out. I agree, Close Streaker. Someone just talking to me about it today, and I had a look at it, and if it wins, too good. If it wins, too good. And I think there's too many decent horses with actual decent setups this time. But, yeah, I didn't really love the look of it, to be fair. All right, guys, thanks for coming. Hopefully helped a little bit there. And I'll see you guys later in the week. Cheers, fellas. What are you prepared to lose today? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.